gonna be okay at this time. I don't know what happened. Maybe I have lost the internet connection. I'm gonna have to sort of test it on the longer period as well. It's gonna be like a part 2. So I'm gonna start the stitch. I'm gonna start the stitching. I'm not sure where we went all that, but what we're gonna be doing, we're gonna be using size 15 and size 11 seed beads. Size 11s are in between the crystals and size 15s are the end of the crystals there. Now we could have used size 11s at the end, but they would have kind of like a little bit too big, so sometimes it's really good to go down in its size, and we could have used size 15s in the middle, but because you have to pass backwards and forwards quite a few times in the beads, sometimes the thread fills up the hole in the beads, and it just stops you going through again and again, and it's harder and harder to Jenny's saying you're back, yes, harder to pull your thread through. So we're going to start at one end. We're going to start with the pearl. We're going to use a larger pearl for our clasp, so not using a you could use a toggle clasp if you like, or any clasp, or magnetic clasp, or whatever clasp is really you prefer, but sometimes I think it's quite nice to use a larger pearl bead, so it's kind of like becomes as a feature bead. We're just going to do like a loop on the other side, so that loop is going to close onto the pearl, and it's going to be our little feature bead on our bracelet. When you're saying, yeah, we're back, you are back, welcome back. I don't know what happened there. But Natalie's saying we're waiting so long to see you, we can wait a bit longer. Oh, thanks you. I don't know, we see, hoping, fingers crossed, the internet is gonna still working, and it wouldn't be me if there was no hiccups at all. You know me. Okay, so I'm gonna demonstrate with the purple, because I had to hunt around for thread this morning, and I found some purple threads. Had to hunt down for needles as well. Everything is still in boxes, so excuse me. Right, okay, so we're gonna start with the pearl, and we're gonna kind of like need all the beads out. So we're gonna need the crystals, we're gonna need the pearls, we're gonna need the size 11s and size 15s as well. So I'm just gonna take some crystals off of this strand. And the way how we're going to be doing this stitch, so St. Petersberg stitch is this is sort of double. So we're going to do one side, and then we're going to use the tail to do the other side. So please leave your bobbin on, or leave a very long tail so you can come back later on and take more thread off from the bobbin and continue your beadwork that way. That's actually, I always leave the bobbin on, because sometimes when you're making a bigger piece, it can take you so long at the end to weave your ends and tails in. So by leaving the bobbin on, you got a continuous thread you can use more towards the other side. Right, so how are we going to start? I'm just threaded my needle. I'm just going to pull it down, sort of untwist it quickly. Just pull down my hand, let it twist down so we don't get any knots. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go through the pearl. We're going to start with this large pearl here, and I'm going to take this down. So we kind of sort of going down on our bracelet first. So I'm going to pick up a crystal, and I'm going to pick up a size 15 seed bead as well. Then I'm gonna go back through the crystal. Let me just grab the seed beads. Take these down as well. I'm gonna go back through the crystal and the pearl itself. So by that, I'm gonna just sort of wrap that on my finger so it doesn't. So I'm ignoring the size 15. I'm going back through the crystal and then back through the pearl. There we go. I'm getting caught with the string of crystals there. So I'm starting right by the clasp, and from here the first stitch is going to be a little bit, the first unit is going to be a little bit different, and then from there it's going to be a pattern repeat. So when for the very first time when I start the stitch, we're gonna start with size 11. So I'm gonna pick up 6 size 11 seed beads, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I'm gonna take these down. Now in St. Petersberg stitch, we are creating little units. So as I got these 6 beads here, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go through the middle 2 one more time so I can create like a little square. So I'm gonna ignore the first 2, I'm gonna go through the 3rd and the 4th, and I'm going in the same direction from sort of the pearl end away from myself, and I'm gonna pull this up. And once I pulled it up, you can see that perhaps you got a bit of a thread gap there. So this is really important to do throughout. I'm just gonna take my nail and put the top of, and hold on to the top of these beads and pull them down nice and close to my base, so I can't see any threads showing there. Now we need to turn around from here. So once again, I'm gonna pick up a crystal and I'm gonna pick up a 15. I'm going to take these down, and then I'm going to back through. I'm going to ignore the size 15. I'm going to go back through the crystal, and I'm going to go through 3 of the seed beads so I get right to the bottom. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit more for you. There we go. And there we go. And I'm going to pull this up. I'm going to pick up another crystal, and as we created this unit of 4 here, I'm just going to go up away from the pearl in these 2 seed beads, so the other 2 seed beads of the unit of the 4. So this was our very first unit where we started with 6 seed beads. Now for the second unit, we're going to start with something, we're just going to start with 4. So because we already have got the first 2 seed beads there. So instead of 6, I'm going to be picking up 4 size 11 seed beads here. And I'm going to take this down. Let them sit on top of the 2 which is already there. And once again, I'm going to go through, if I look at this as a 6, I'm going to go through number 3 and number 4. I'm going the same way away from myself. So I'm creating another little unit of 4. I'm going to pull this right down on the top of my beadwork so it sits there nicely. And then I'm going to go ahead and pick up a crystal and a size 15. Take these down. Come back through the crystal. And I'm going to come back through just straight down. I'm going to come back through 3 of the seed beads right underneath that crystal, and I'm going to pull this through. Then I'm going to pick up a crystal, and after you've done a couple of stitches, it's kind of sort of going to fall into place. I'm going to let the end go now. And as we created a unit of 4 here as well, as I picked up that crystal, I'm going to go through the free 2 bead in that unit of 4. And I'm going to pull this up nice and tight. Let's get rid of that tail. If your pearl kind of sort of sags down a little bit, don't worry at this point, because once we start the other side, we can just sort of pull on that and tighten that up. We're just going to hold on to that seed bead and pull that up nice and tight when we start to work with that thread. So again, I'm going to pick up 4 seed beads, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to take this down, and I'm going to come back through the middle 2. So if I'm counting as 6 beads here, I'm going to come back through 3 and 4. Pull this up. So I got my unit of 4. I'm going to make sure that they sit nice and snug on the top of the previous beads. I'm going to pick up a crystal and a size 15. Take this down. Then come back through the crystal and 3 of the seed beads underneath. Just like that. And pull this through. Now I'm going to pick up a crystal and go through the 2 free beads on the other side of my square what I have created. Community saying still keep stopping and starting, just me or everybody else too? Do let me know, because obviously I'm in a new place, it's a new internet connection, so we need to see that everything is worked correctly. At the moment, actually, I had to have satellite internet until I'm waiting for, which hopefully will be in a couple of weeks, and then we should have a better internet as well. It's really baffles me, like all these, what they're saying with all the different packages, and you know how much down and how much up they can give you, and I was stressing over it for about 3 days. This reminds me of Christmas earrings. Yes, very similar to that one. With the Christmas earrings, we did sort of increase them in size. I don't know if you can hear Roxy. She's dreaming, bless her. And she's doing a little woof woof in her dreaming. I wonder what she's dreaming about. So each time I'm picking up 4 size 11s, going through the middle 2, then picking up 1 crystal, 115, taking those down, coming back to the crystal and 3 of the size 11s underneath it. But now I've done a few sort of units, it's really kind of holding nice and strong. And then picking up a crystal and going up the 3 2 beads. So this is normal St. Petersberg stitch. If you just wanted a single row, then this is how you would do it. So 4 seed beads again. Oh, Camille is saying she loves dogs when they dream. Yeah, she's so funny. And then when her little paws move as well, like I'm sure she's running in her dream. Maybe running on the beach or running around the field. It would be so cool if you had like a device and you could watch it, like you watch TV, like what they dream about. Right, going back to the crystal and the 3 seed beads. I'm just gonna do a few more units, and then I'm gonna start then show you the other side, because it's gonna be slightly different. There's 1 step difference in the other side when we are joining up and doing it. Rachel, I think hers is okay, because they know it's definitely stop starting, but I'm hoping it will be okay. I did do a speed test this morning and it was okay. Right, I added the unit of 4, then crystal and size 15. So it's very much, I love this sort of beading. There's only a couple of steps to it, very therapeutic, and you just keep on going and going and adding your beads onto your beadwork as you go along. Now what I like to do when I do this stitch, I kind of like to hold on to my beadwork between my fingers, because what I don't want to, first of all I want to have sort of a tighter finish, but what I really don't want, because we have got like sort of crystals which is sticking out on the side, I don't really want my working thread to get caught on those crystals, and then once if they do get caught on the crystal, they can kind of sort of rope your pattern, and then sometimes you don't even see it until you're further down on the line, and then you, if like me, I unpick it and redo it. But I kind of sort of, to remedy that, I always hold on to the crystals and like to have the thread I'm working kind of sort of underneath it but to the side. So as I'm pulling it through every single time, I am pulling it to the side. So I'm going through the middle 2 and then pulling this up, making sure that unit of 4 is on the top of the beads which were there before. There is saying she is using a mobile broadband at the moment. Do you live near the beach now? No. Come on, we used to live near the beach, just sort of down the road from the beach, and we moved into town. So I am really gonna miss the beach. I'm really gonna miss like our lunchtime just to be able to walk down to the beach with rocks. But we still back that way quite a few times a week because Lucy's still doing her dance and all sorts of things. So yeah, we got beautiful parks around us here, so we're gonna be frequent visitors there. Right, maybe a couple more units and then I'm gonna start the other side. So just coming back through that crystal and the 3 seed beads, pulling this tight. And I'm gonna pick up a crystal and then go up through the 2 beads. So that's sort of one side. I'm gonna start the other side as well. I just need to grab another needle. What did I do with the needles? I found a little pack of needles this morning. I like must put it in a safe place because I'm just gonna borrow this one. But I can lose anything. I am so known for that. Right, so I'm just taking more thread off my bobbin because my bobbin was on the other side. So I'm just going to make more thread off of this one so I can quite easily continue my beadwork with one piece of work there. And I am just going to take this down. So when we start the other side, so I'm still got the needle and I'm still got the thread in this side, but I'm gonna move that to the left of me so I don't get caught up with that thread. And sometimes what I even like to do is to sort of wrap some of this thread around my little finger, so or my index finger, so it's kind of like completely away from me and away from my beadwork what I am doing. So the very first step, what we're gonna do is gonna be the same what we did last time. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna pick up 6 seed beads, 6 size 11 seed beads. 1 2 3 4 5 6. I'm gonna take this down and I'm gonna come through the middle too, the same as we did last time. I'm going to pull this up nice and tight, just make sure some more thread doesn't get caught in the pearl. There we go. So once again, I'm going to go ahead, the same as the other side. I'm going to pick up a crystal and a size 15 and I'm going to take this down. And I'm going to go back through the crystal and 3 of the seed beads, same as on the other side. And here where the difference is. So on this side, we would be picking up a crystal and going up through those 2 beads. Now on the second row, when we run up, we already have that crystal in our beadwork there. So I'm going to go up through that crystal, the first crystal. And you will be able to identify this crystal easily because there is no size 15 seed beads attached to it. So that's how I know this is the inner side of my work and the outer side has got the size 15s on there. So I'm going up through that very first crystal. And then, can you see, like as I pulled it through, the unit kind of turned itself around and sitting the right way. So I'm going to go up through the 2 seed beads of the square we have created and pulled up, and that will pull this in to a beautiful V shape. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna pick up 4 seed beads. So again, same as the other side. I'm going to go down. I'm going to come through the middle two out of those 6. I'm going to pull this up again if there's any thread showing, and I'm just going to pull this down so I got a nice and tight finish. I'm picking up a crystal and a size 15, taking these down, and I'm going to come back through the crystal and 3 of those seed beads right underneath it, 3 of the size 11s. I'm going to pull this nice and tight. Now again, this would be where we had a crystal, but we already have got the crystal on the other side, so I'm going to go up through the second crystal on my inner side, which we already have on there. Pull this up nice and tight, and then come through the 2 seed beads what we have created in this square. That's 1 and 2. Again, pull this up nice and tight, and I'm ready to add next unit. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm gonna take this down. Once again, I'm going through the middle 2. So how's it so far? If you have got any questions, please let me know. Just put a Q in front of your question. Or if you want me to repeat anything, do let me know so I can show it to you. Now, if you go up in sizes in seed beads and crystals, you could do, but if you go up in sizes in the seed beads, you need to go up in sizes the crystals as well. Instead of, you know, crystals, you could try pearls. You could try all sorts of, or instead of the crystal, you could try a size 8 seed bead as well in the pattern. There is so many different things you can do to make this look really pretty. There we go. And then I'm going to come through 1 and 2. Again, a Y, and again I'm creating that V shape every single time with the seed beads there. So I'm going to pick up another 4. Take this down. And then go up through the middle 2, through the crystal and the seed. Back down to the crystal and 3 of the seeds. Up the next crystal, which is the 4th one. And then coming through the 2 seed beads from our unit of 4. That's 1, and coming through the second one as well. There we go. So I'm going to keep on going. I'm going to add a few more there, so kind of got a little bit of a length there to show. And then after that, all is left is to add a row of seed beads to create the loop for our pearl bead, which we're using as a clasp. Pulling this on top, crystal and a seed, taking it down. Now sometimes I kind of sort of speed this up, because in the same stitch as I'm coming down, I kind of sort of turn the bracelet and I go up the crystal at the same time, so I don't have to pull my thread sort of through and through and through, because the more you're pulling your thread through, the longer, sort of the more, I always say, the arm exercises, the more arm exercise you have, but you have to be sort of careful and a tight beader so you don't get any loose threads showing. And once like you beaded a few inches, your thread naturally is going to get shorter on the needle, so it will be easier and quicker to pull it through anyway. But at the beginning, sometimes you're working with such a long thread. Just Making sure that it doesn't get caught up. Coming back down, going up through the next crystal. And if you miss or skip a crystal, you're gonna see, because the seed beads are not going to line up in a perfect way. So when I do this stitch, what I like to do, I usually do like 10 on one side and then do 10 on the other side, and just sort of keep swapping, coming and going with how I am working with both sides as I go along. But you're more than welcome to do the whole length on one side and then do the other length with the other thread. So the variations you can do as well with the kit, because there's 3 different colors of crystals in there. So every single time when I picked up the crystal after going through the 3 seed beads, I could have picked up a different color crystal. So I could have one color on the side and a different color in the middle as well. That would look really pretty too. I'm just holding it straight. And don't let it to twist in your hand, because sometimes if your beadwork twists in your hand, that's when sort of things can go a little bit awry. So kinda, I like to hold it in my hand. I know some people love having the beadwork on the mat. I love holding it in my hand, and after a while, now I got long enough length, I usually go and sort of tuck the end away underneath my finger, so I only have got this little bit on show what I need to work with. So that's the end bit is tucked away, and kind of keep on going and going with this. So I've got 2 more stitches and then I show you how to do the loop. So I'm picking up 4 seed beads every single time, going through the middle too, making sure my thread doesn't get caught. This is my set, so when you're pulling it through, you don't want your thread to get this loop to get caught with the seed beads from the previous unit. Picking up a crystal and a seed, size 15 seed, taking this down, then coming through the crystal and 3 of the seed beads, and I'm gonna go up through the next crystal in the middle. Again, I'm gonna be careful not to catch my thread on any of the ends, and then coming through the 2 seed beads. And I'm gonna need to do 1 more unit. So imagine this bracelet is 5, 6, 7, 8 inches, as long as you need to do it. We only got sort of 1.5 inches there, so it's it's gonna be a very small one. It wouldn't even fit Roxy, bless her. And then pull this down, crystal and seed. The size 15 there. I'm ignoring the size 15, going back through the crystal and the 3 seeds. Pulling this through, up the very last crystal and the 2 seed beads. There we go. So imagining this is a very long bracelet. We haven't just done 1.5 inches, or actually probably that's like a couple of inches there. We have done the length what we need to do. So to be able to close onto this pearl here, we need the right amount of beads on the other side. Now this can be always tricky, because depending on how tight is your loop, and we're going to go through a couple of times to tighten it up. How tight is your loop depends on like, you know, how well it's going to close. Because if your loop is too big, then it can slip over the pearl and your bracelet can come off. If the loop is too tight, then you're going to be really having struggle to pull these through the to put the pearl through. Now, a couple of things what you could do is, which is mentioned in the instructions as well. So if you're making this bracelet as a present for somebody and you don't really know their size, instead of starting with one pearl at the end, I could have had sort of a pearl, crystal pearl, and then start my beadwork, because that way, when I put the loop in, I haven't got a sample here, I should have sort of made up a sample with that one, but when you put your loop through the top pearl, you can then put it through the next pearl as well, so you can adjust your bracelet to a little bit bigger or a little bit smaller. There is so many different things that you could do with a simple pearl, and or it doesn't have to be pearl, it could be a crystal at the end, sort of a simple larger bead and a loop clasp. Right, okay, so once you get here, what you can do is, well, what I usually do, and again, the number of seed beads can differ, because what sometimes if you use a silver lined seed beads tend to, or silver lined and solid seed beads, they tend to be a little bit fatter, but some of the seed beads tend to be a little bit smaller. So depending on sort of what seed bead you use, for to fit a large pearl like this, you kind of need 21, 22 or 23 seed beads. So I usually, what I do, I add 22 seed beads on my thread, I loop back on the other side and I just try it. And if it sort of feels right, then I go around it again to reinforce it. So from once you come to the last crystal and you're coming out of the 2 seed beads, I'm just going to pick up 22 size 11 seed beads. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. But as I said, sort of be careful, because sometimes different style of seed beads, so silver lined to pearlescent, or like, you know, some of the finishes can be a little bit, sort of a tiny bit, you won't see it with your eye, but when it's over 22 beads, it's kind of like 1 bead length. I suppose that's what I'm trying to get to. Right, okay, so I got 22 beads there, and all I'm going to do first is I'm just going to come through the other side, and I'm just going to stitch down to those 2 seed beads, and I'm just going to hold this as tight as I can. 1 bead, yeah, so I will be able to loop it around, and then no, it doesn't go around my fingers, so I'm going to try it with this pearl, and then I'm going to put the pearl through it, and then see how easy it goes through. It's kind of like sort of 22 beads is the right size for this one. So then I'm gonna go up and around all of these beads again, and sometimes I'd go around 2 or 3 times, because don't forget that loop is going to be what you're going to be tugging and sort of pulling on the most. So not only you want that loop nice and straight and nice and strong, but you want it well connected to your bracelet as well. So I went around a couple of times, and then I'm gonna try again before I sort of, yeah, that fits perfectly, and then I would go up 1 more time, and then once I am happy with sort of went around a couple of times, I'd kind of sort of just weave my thread in. So I would jump up and then go through the crystal, go through 15, come back to the crystal, and sort of do that a couple of times, and maybe do a half each knot or 1 thread knot as I go along here and there to really work my thread off. But I do, like when I do this at the end, I do like to kind of like sort of go through 2 or 3 units to really strengthen the thread paths at the end of the bracelet there. And this is a very tiny bracelet. I don't think it's big enough for a cocktail ring either. But I think what is big enough for is to put you on a bottom of a wine glass, perhaps, so we can know whose wine glass is whose when you're having a party. Right, okay, so that's it, very small bracelet. That's it for us, for me today. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget, buy 2 for £24 on the website, so you save £4 if you buy 2 kits. One kit will make you 3 bracelets, and they're gonna be 3 different colors. So that's one color crystal with that seed beads, and this is the other color. So this one is more standing out, and this one is more blending in. So I made sure when I choosing the 3 different colors, some of them will blend in and some of them will stand out. And the third color to go with this is, where is it? Where is it gone? No. Maybe that one was made up. I think it's this one. No. There it is. I got it. So third one is to go with it. It's got like a slightly bit of, it's purple, but it's got like a slightly of blue hint to it as well. So that will look really nice on the end as well. It's kind of like taking it to different directions. Mini saying too many to choose from. Great tutorial. Have to go and take my cat to bed. Oh, Elena, hope your cat is okay. I hope it's just a routine checkup. Thank you, Kitty, and enjoy your new home. David, I got so much to do, so much to sort out, but slowly and surely getting there. Like, honestly, like, you don't really think about this, but like packing up a box takes you 5 minutes. Unpacking a box takes you 5 hours or like 50 minutes, because you have to find places for everything and sort things through. Lovely to see you too. Lovely to see you here in the stream as well. Jen, I'm so happy to be back. Like today I'm just gonna sort of sitting and beading and doing things, and this is the first day in 4 weeks. Like, I'm not on my feet, so I was really looking forward. I'm really gonna enjoy today, just to sort of do some beading. Like, it's kind of like gives you like a little bit back to normality after sort of all the upheaval of the move and everything else. Thank you, Joanne. Right, okay, so I am gonna head in the bead club, and we will be working with Barbuka Amos beads there today. I'll be back, I think, is it next week? I haven't got the diary in front of me. Like, at the moment, I don't even know what day of the week is. I have to keep checking what we're doing and what we're not doing, because just like sort of so many things are going on. But I'm hoping in a couple of weeks, when I can like sort of set up my proper sort of like home office, fingers crossed everything goes well, then I will be back to even more normality. Right, bye for now, everybody. Have a beautiful week, and I see you very, very soon. Bye.